The state of her creates space to reflect, reset, and rise. This is where clarity meets community. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on social media at The States of Her HQ. Hey, beautiful. Welcome back to The State of Her with Keisha, the headquarters for real conversations and real growth. Today, I want to talk about poor communication. We have normalized communication that's confusing instead of clear. And the scary part of this all is that we're beginning to think this is just how people are. This is not how people are. At least I don't believe that. What I do believe is that we've accepted the unhealthy communication because we have become very uncomfortable with the uncomfortable conversations. So, when did poor communication become normal? Communication is more than talking to someone or with someone. Communication is not just words. Yeah, we speak words, but we need to know how to communicate our words. We need to know the type of tone that we need to set when we are communicating our words to someone. And also remember that don't ever think that silence is a communication kind of thing because it's not. When you have situations with someone or just want to talk to someone just so they can understand you more, silence is not the go-to for that. It makes things worse. And the tone that you speak to people with, that is key, beautiful. Everyone don't needs to be lashed out at, yelled at, talked down to. Know your tone. Know how to speak to someone. I'm quite sure we all been there, right? Growing up in our parents' household. Um, Treat people how you would like to be treated. They said that's in the Bible, right? So that's how I live my life as well. It's the tone I speak to people and the words that I use to communicate with people. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't always like this. My tone wasn't always like this. I will come at you however which way I wanted to or I had to, or however the environment was. That's how I'll come at you. But as you get older, you start to realize that that don't make sense. I'm getting older. I should know how to articulate myself in a better manner, right? Now, you communicating with someone and your responses are delayed. Why? Sometimes when our responses are delayed, we lack communication skills too. We try to gather up words, trying to fill gaps in with words. I believe when I was younger, I believe reading a lot of books actually helped you with communication as well. We need to read more. So let's talk about actions. Actions, it either supports or contradicts your words. So if you show all these actions to someone, but your words are different, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think they are going to believe? Are they going to believe what you are saying to them? Or actually what you are doing? So all those communication tactics or scenarios that we have, we must learn how to use them and use them accordingly and properly and use them as to how you want to be treated. Because someone can tell you they love you every single day, but if they constantly ignore your feelings, what are they really communicating to you right now? Actions speak louder than your vocabulary, right? Have you ever believed someone's words while ignoring their behavior? What you actually do is where I actually take heed to. And I'm the type of person that I will let you dig your own grave. I will actually know what you are doing. And I won't say anything. I'll let you just dig your own grave. And then you realize, like, oh shit, I'm about to be 6 feet under. What do I do now? It might be too late for you even to actually come above that. So actually look at yourself too to see what you're doing. Actions speak louder than words. Always look at someone's actions. Take heed to it. Have you noticed that we've normalized avoidance? This is where our relationships begin to actually break because people really don't say what's wrong with them or what's wrong with the relationship or the situation or anything like that. Instead, what people do, they will shut down, won't say anything to you. And then you have to be a mind reader. They become distant, like that's going to help. That makes the situation worse. Why don't you come sit down and talk to me so we can have this conversation and make things better, right? So shutting down and being distant, that's like a sucker move to me. That's what young kids do. They shut down, they walk away from you, they go to a corner and be mad at you. We're too old for that, beautiful. And we're adults here. We can articulate ourselves pretty well, right? Some people are like, oh, I just asked you a question, just answer yes or no. But what if I don't want to just answer yes or no? What if I want to elaborate more on what my yes or no's are? Some people might want the short answer, but me, I give the long answer sometimes, most of the times. Because I need you to understand where I'm coming from. I need you to know why I'm saying yes or why I'm saying no in my conversation. Elaborate more when you're communicating with others, your spouse, family member, friends. They need to know what's really going on. Say what you want to say how you feel. And like I said prior, it's the tone. You can say anything to anyone, but it's the tone, it's the delivery with how you are speaking to this person. Don't ever think that everything is fine. Don't pretend that everything is fine when it's actually not. Don't sit there and then you wait for months later to go by, and then you actually bring something up that happened six months or a year later. Then you're like, damn, I know you felt this way. You should tell me this when it happened. Now we're in a whole different space now. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Let me backtrack to what happened a year ago. A healthy communication requires courage from you. I know avoidance might feel much easier. I know it does. Who wants to always answer questions? Sometimes you don't even want to talk. I get it. When you are avoiding communication, the relationship that you have built slowly dies for you. And that's from your spouse, family, friends, coworkers, or whatever it is. A relationship is a relationship. It will die, okay, if you avoid communicating. So, why are we more comfortable pretending than telling the truth? What are we fighting for? That's one thing with me. Pretending I like someone, pretending that everything is okay. I'm not going to pretend. I'm going to tell you. And if you can't accept what I'm telling you, then that's not my fault. You need to go sit down by yourself and figure out why you can't actually understand where I'm coming from. I say what I say. It's the state of her. Listen on your favorite podcast platform. Follow for real conversations and real growth. We confuse silence with maturity. Oh, let me just be quiet. Don't say anything because I'm the bigger person. You're not the bigger person because you're just silent. That's not maturity. Maturity is to speak on it, is to communicate on it. So forget about the silent treatment. Speak your piece. Let it be known to how you're feeling. So the relationship can be a better relationship. And one thing that I've grown to see or have seen or just know is we text a lot instead of actually picking up the phone to talk or, whether it's FaceTime or what have you. We just text a lot. And sometimes we text books. And sometimes we just have to pick up the phone and just talk. Go old school, pick up the phone, sit in a chair and just talk and don't move. You remember back in the days, you pick up the phone, you had the rotary phone or the phone that has the cord on it. Before it was cordless phones, you had to sit where you was at and just speak, unless you had the extra long cord that went throughout the entire house. But usually you just sit where you are and you just speak. Sometimes you just have to do that and actually take in the conversation, assuming instead of asking. That's a big problem. Stop assuming things and just ask. Because when you assume, it kills you. All you're doing is thinking of, okay, they probably feeling this way, they probably thinking this way, and you don't even know that. And you're killing yourself trying to figure out what they're feeling and what they're thinking, instead of just asking them what they're feeling and what they're thinking. Right? So simple, stress free. What I am trying to say in all of this right now is just communicate better with one another, with your spouse, with your family members. Sometimes it's not hard to even be the bigger person with communicating. We can talk a lot to other people outside, how we're feeling and what we're doing and what they doing wrong and what have you. But as soon as it's time to come inside to our loved ones, we can't speak. We just like cut off. We're in silent mode now. But you just had a whole conversation with someone outside about this person. But now when it's time for you to have the conversation with the person that you're talking about, you can't. Why? You have a communication barrier somewhere, you know, that you can confront the one that you actually want to communicate with. It's like, what's the difference between taking space and using silence to make someone suffer? It's the same thing. So think about it. How do you want someone to treat you? And the way you want someone to treat you, that's the way you should treat them. If you guys made it this far, thank you. Because we're not even equipped to listen this long. We just actually watch and listen to little clips, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes. But to have a full conversation or to listen to something for half hour, it's hard for us to do that in this kind of generation that we're living in right now, which is so sad. That's where the communication dies. That's when you're texting. Communication has really been, it's like, it's almost obsolete. We need to actually get more in tune with ourselves, with our communication, and how we speak to one another as well. Because everybody wants to speak, right? Just to hear themselves speak sometimes at that. And that makes a few want to understand us. Some people listen, not to understand, but to prepare for their response they're about to give you. So that's why they're listening, which is good. For instance, imagine how different relationships would be if people listened to understand instead of listening to win the conversation. Sit back, let the person speak. I have this thing like, okay, when you get into something, whether with your spouse or what have you, or even your siblings, right? You get into something. I solely believe to let that person speak. If it's 2, 3, 5 minutes, let that person speak. Let that person get it out. Don't get upset. Don't interrupt that person. Communication is key in whatever relationship that you have right now. Imagine how different relationships would be if people listen to understand instead of listening to win the conversation. Imagine just sitting down, listening to the conversation, understanding what is being said. You have to have discipline for that to happen. And sometimes that discipline actually comes from actually communication, listening, and reading. Because when you're reading, you're sitting still, you're reading, you're in a thought process. So listen to understand instead of listening to win the conversation. When we watch TV or even a movie, we make sure to understand what the movie is about, don't we? Like we will fast forward, we will rewind, we will do all this stuff. We will even watch it two, three, 4 times just to understand that particular movie. So why is it so hard to do that when we're actually communicating with someone? Why not do that within your relationships and within your conversations? But I'm gonna say this because it's been over 20 minutes probably. Probably patience are probably short right now, listening, sitting down. I get it. But here's what I want you to remember. Communication isn't just about speaking, it's about making another person feel seen and heard, valued, and safe. Like, imagine how many relationships could be healed from conversations only if you simply had one honest conversation. So, beautiful, this week, don't avoid it at all. Have the conversation that you need to have. Healthy relationships aren't built by perfect people. They're built by people willing to communicate with each other. That's how you get longevity in your relationships. That's how people stay friends for 40 years. That's how marriages stay solid for 40, 50 years. Communication. So, this is for love, friendships, families, marriages. It all require conversations. No relationship survives on assumptions. Sometimes the healthiest sentence is simply, I need to tell you how I feel, and please listen to me. Say what you mean. Don't expect someone to actually read your mind. Stop texting those conversations that deserve a meaningful phone call. I want you to always listen completely, ask questions before you even assume anything, and stop interrupting when people are speaking to you. I want you to speak to solve the situation, not to win the conversation. And always be willing to apologize. Learn to receive feedback without becoming defensive. And you know what's so crazy? That our jobs can give us our feedback on what we do and things like that pertain to the job or what have you. And we just stay, okay, that's what it is. All right, thank you. We go right back to our desk. But as soon as someone tells us about ourselves, someone that loves us, it becomes a whole situation. So just receive the feedback and see how you can do better and be better. And I'm going to leave you with something real quick, beautiful. Remember that poor communication doesn't just create misunderstandings, it creates distance. And even distance can make two people who love each other feel like strangers. Thank you for listening, beautiful. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a beautiful lady that will actually need it. And don't forget to follow, like, and share the State of Her HQ on Instagram and Facebook. I'll see you soon, beautiful. Bye. The State of Her creates space to reflect, reset, and rise. This is where clarity meets community. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on social media at The States of Her HQ.